When you think of a zombie movie, you think of Dawn of the Dead. I mean, we haven't reached a generation yet that has not seen that. And that is the zombie movie. I don't know if I started thinking of ways to kill people right away. I think after I got the script, you know. But if you've seen Dawn, I think 60, 80% of the effects are stuff that we thought of, that we came up with, you know. It seems to me it was 3 months, a month and a half, 2 before we went into the mall. In December, we shot the SWAT guys at the tenement house, you know, because the mall became a big Christmas decoration in December. So once that was over, then we all moved into the mall and shot all that stuff. That was another great thing about George. We would come up to him and say, you know, how about if we, you know, and then, well, okay, go ahead. So we went and built it. We built like the screwdriver in the ear thing, you know. He said, we gotta have a continuity error. You know, Scotty has a jacket on, now he doesn't. We gotta kill a zombie so he loses the jacket. You know, it was John Harrison, you know, so. Well, how about if we drive a screwdriver through his ear? Because he's wearing a tool belt, I saw. Yeah, okay, so 2 hours later, we painted a soda straw silver and put holes in it, and blood came out of it, you know, and it looked like the screwdriver was retractable, like it went in his ear. That was great fun, you know. Applause from the crew, you know. That was our reward. And then, of course, when I go to the movie theater and watch it, I pick somebody out in the audience and like watch the evolution of their heart attack when I know stuff's going to happen. It's only after seeing the movie that I was vastly disappointed in the color of the blood, you know. It looked great in the bottle, but it looked like melted crayons, like red paint or something. I didn't make it. It was from the 3M company. 3M, Xerox machines, fluid, you know. 3M company, stage blood, they called it. And again, it looked great, but didn't photograph well at all, you know, so. And that was before I learned the formula, Dick Smith, the greatest makeup artist who ever lived, his formula for blood. He invented everything, just about everything we do in special makeup effects was invented by Dick Smith. We enhance it, improve it, add to it, you know. But he's the godfather of makeup effects. Night of the Living Dead was a black and white movie. So you might be hard-pressed if you didn't see a person being part of a group that's walking slow to know they're a zombie, unless you see them in that thing. But Dawn of the Dead is in color, so that's the only reason I just painted them gray. Gray, water-based makeup. It was so quick. And I did appliances on some of them, you know, on Dawn. But I just wanted you to know the difference between a human being, flesh-colored, and the zombie, you know, gray-colored. That was it. And then, of course, Day of the Dead is when we really went all out, and every zombie was different and real. Because after talking to county coroners and, you know, if a guy dies in the basement, in a wet basement compared to a hot attic, it's going to look different, you know. In fact, the first effect we did in Day was the hands coming through the wall. And John Harrison, the AD, they all look different. He didn't like it. They all looked. I said, no, this is more realistic. If you're Chinese, you're going to die and decompose differently than this Italian guy, you know, because of his diet. This was the most. I won the Saturn Award for Day of the Dead. These are the most realistic zombies. These were my masterpiece, you know. But I got flack that they all looked different because they were all the same in Dawn.
How many zombies are you making up tonight?
It depends. It depends on what we're doing in the script. You know, some nights we'll have 200. Sometimes we'll have 5. You know, nights we have 5. You know, they're the concentrated scenes between like one lead, and put 5 around. So it looks like, you know, a continuation of the 200 the day before. You know.
Again, it was so simple. It was water-based makeup and a wet sponge. Boom, boom, boom. You're done. You know. 10, 15 seconds, you're done, you know, go on. Unless I had put an appliance on you or something. There were nights when there were supposed to be a lot of zombies, and I would bring Joe Pilato in and my college friends, Tasso, you know, and there would be an assembly line of, I would do the prosthetics and they were making people gray, and then some of them were actually putting appliances on. And that taught me how to do Day of the Dead. On Day of the Dead, we spent the first 2 months building small, medium, and large appliances, small, medium, and large teeth, you know. So if you came in, oh, well, you need a medium, you know, boom, you know, it was a quick assembly line of creating zombies, you know. We didn't didn't even go to lunch because there was no time. You only had them all from a certain amount of, from 7. Well, we started at 7. They started at 9 or 10, you know. But until 7 in the morning when the Muzak would come on, and you couldn't shoot any takes after that. No one knew how to turn the Muzak off. That was the first effect we did, was the guy biting the girl's shoulder. And well, you know, again, I want to use the real people and not just bite a dummy or something. So I put an appliance on her, and it was kind of pre-cut, you know, and I think there was some blood. We weren't pumping blood into that, unfortunately. But my regret is not putting chunks of flesh in it, because when he bites a chunk out, and it leaves her body. There should have been string that would stretch and snap, okay, which I've done later, okay. But that was the first effect, and the crew went nuts. Oh, is that what this movie's going to be like? Oh, boy. You know, so in the audience, that's the first thing the audience sees, you know, and then the head blows up. So they know at the beginning of the movie, boy, they're in for something, and then they got it, you know. We had an effects guy on the film. He tried to blow it up with primer cord inside the head, and the head just expanded and contracted. Boop, you know. So give me that goddamn shotgun, you know. I'll make this head explode. Clear the background. We put a mattress back there or something, and it's Galen Ross's head, because originally she was going to kill herself by jumping into the helicopter blade. So that's why we cast her head and built a head of her. So I put an Afro wig on it and made it dark, African-American-ish, okay? And it was filled with condoms, filled with blood and food from the craft service table, and, you know. And I just had one shotgun and on action, I was surprised that it blew up so well, you know. And then I redid it and maniac to my own head through the windshield of a car, you know. Jim Crut and I did a play together, Zoo Story. And we went to college together, Point Park University. And he had a low forehead. So I said, hey, I think I have a bit for you in Dawn of the Dead, because I knew I was going to build up the head. It's a perfectly round head. But by the time we got to do the effect, the hair that I had glued to it, the humidity or whatever, it gave him a square Frankenstein head. I wish I had just wet it or something, you know, to make it round. Because people sometimes call him the Frankenstein zombie because he has a square head, but it's really quite round. And so I made a cast of Jim, and I built this thing, the top of his head, and I cut it into, 4 or 5, maybe 6 sections, and each section was attached by a fish line. So when they unraveled at a different time, because sometimes the fish line was long, sometimes it was short. So Gary Zeller, one of the effects guy, the physical effects guy, he went running with the fish line and made Jim's head just unravel. And then we were pumping blood up through his legs. We disconnected him and he fell, you know. The helicopter blade was animated in later. He didn't really, stand into blades. It always got applause in the screenings that I went to.
Say goodbye, Creed.
What do I need to see to make me believe that that's happening? Well, there's going to have to be a knife in his head. Well, it could be a fake head. But again, if 3 seconds, you know it's a fake head. I like to incorporate the actor's real face in my effects, because the face can move, it can react. And that's, of course, what with Lenny Lee's, he could react, he could to the machete, and it's a real head. You can stare at that real head forever. So it has to be embedded in his head. Well, okay. Steve Martin arrow gag, I'll just cut a groove out of the machete, and it'll look like it's in his head, and we'll do it in reverse, and it'll look like it's going in. Then we cut to a different angle and pump the blood. There used to be a slaughterhouse back here, Cows would walk in this alley, and you could buy pig intestines from them. So I bought some pig intestines and chose Tasso. Again, this is one of the ones that we invented. George, how about if the zombies knock him down and tear his stomach and pull his guts out? Yeah, okay, go ahead. I don't know why I had this rubber chest. I glued it to Tasso and put the guts in it after he went to the bathroom and thoroughly cleaned them out with hot water and stuff before he would let them touch him. And the zombies just, tore that rubber chest open, and here they come.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
George was fun. he was just fun to be around. I remember just so many times laughing uncontrollably in pain, laughing my guts out because of something he would do or say just out of the blue, so I just miss him. And then when he hugged you, you felt hugged. I mean, he was a big bear of a guy, so. And you always wanted to do stuff. And that's the secret, I think, on the set with George Romero, on Martin and Dawn of the Dead. You just wanted to do something for him. You wanted it to be the best. You wanted to impress him. You wanted to make him laugh or make him applaud or, that's just that kind of guy. His temperament was such, there was never yelling. I mean, that would have been totally out of character. It was always, you were treated with respect and asked what your opinion was, and that was great, I love that. Or a cricket noise. If I did an effect on Day of the Dead, I would make a cricket noise. They can't do it anymore. And if George made the same cricket noise back, that means he loved it. Good, we can move on. That's how we communicated. The crew knew that. George and I. So we had a great relationship. That was the 1-2 punch of Dawn and Friday the 13th that now producers, Bill Lustig came after me for Maniac. Harvey Weinstein came after me for The Burning. So I was sought out after that because these were elaborate, gross, physical, special makeup effects. So I became the guy, Rick Baker was doing werewolves and stuff, and I was the king of gore. I became the sultan of splatter, I've asked my school to just no longer call me that, but I'm the maestro of makeup, okay? So... I would not have any of my career if it wasn't for George. If there wasn't a Dawn of the Dead, there would not have been a Friday the 13th. And that's what set my career off. So I owe everything to George, and his faith and his companionship, I felt George was a genius, There's a famous philosopher, Schopenhauer, his definition of genius is talent is hitting a target that nobody else can. Genius is hitting a target nobody else can even see, and that's George.